back to another episode of COVID Bacon series. Tonight, this evening, we're going to make Montreal style bagels. Montreal style bagels are a little bit chewier, they're a little bit on the sweeter side, they've got sesame seeds on them, they're delicious, and they're really easy to make. So I'm stoked for you to be here. Buckle up. Total cook time is about 45 minutes plus 35 roughly minutes of rising, and then another 30 minutes for cooking. So you can all do this all in an evening and have fresh bagels the next morning. So step one is we want to activate the yeast. So I'm going to add the 6 ounces of yeast, or sorry, the 5 grams of yeast to the 6 fluid ounce of water. And then I'm going to add a pinch of sugar to give it a little jazz, a little energy to start activating. As soon as I add it, you'll start to see little bubbles forming, and you could just sort of watch it bubble. You just let that rest for about 10 minutes or so. As it starts to activate, it'll start to bubble and it'll get a little creamy. If it doesn't do that after 10 minutes, then I would check the expiration date of your yeast because it's old. Okay, so in my bowl, I added 1 large egg. I'm going to add in my now very frothy and bubbly yeast water. I'm going to throw in exactly 1 teaspoon of sugar. Sorry, that's a tablespoon, not a teaspoon. 2 tablespoons of honey. Again, I'm using maple syrup, but you should use honey if you can. And 1.5 tablespoons of my oil, either my vegetable oil or my canola oil. And then I'm going to just mix this bad boy up. At this point, I'm going to add half a teaspoon of salt. And then I'm basically going to add over time just cups and cups of flour. So in total, I want to add 2.5 cups of flour, which is about 340 grams. But I'm going to do it 1 cup at a time, or a couple grams at a time, just so I incorporate it really slowly. I'm going to do it and then come back because I can't use it need to. So as you can see, I've moved over to my bread mixer, so I can actually incorporate the flour easily. So I'm just going to add it very slowly, about a couple ounces at a time, just so that it slowly incorporates and I have time to make sure that all the flour gets attached to the liquid. I try to really mix around the sides of the bowl so that it really incorporates with everything. Periodically, I have to get the mixture off. At this point is when I'm actually going to switch to my hands, now that it's an actual dough. And you'll see it'll start being really kind of sticky and more bread-like than before, because we had so much liquid in there. You just want to incorporate all of the flour into this little dough piece by turning it over and over. It's a very soft dough, but it's also needs all that flour, so make sure that you're adding it inside. Okay, great. So now once I feel like I've formed a kind of rough dough, I'm I'm gonna go ahead and actually just dump it on my clean table. Definitely make sure to clean your surfaces with the COVID going around. I'm just gonna get all of the dough out. And now I'm just gonna do a little kneading. So again, it's the process of pulling it up and then down, up and then down. You're gonna do this for about 10 minutes until you feel like it's formed itself into a little ball. And if you have to add a little bit more flour, that's okay too. You know, you wanna just make sure that it's staying as one ball and then it has time to actually form gluten. I'm periodically adding flour just to make sure that it's not too wet of a dough. It's gonna be a little soft. You're gonna feel like it's a little soft, but that's good. That's gonna make the chewiness in the dough. Okay, my friends, it looks like my little ball is ready to go. I've just been kind of massaging it for about 10 minutes and it comes out to be, you know, it basically changes a little bit in texture. It starts to have a little bit more push to it, but you still want it to be a little sticky. So don't add too much flour that it's just not sticky anymore. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and put it in a already pre-greased, pre-oiled little bowl. And it's gonna rest here for roughly 20 to 30 minutes while it rises in its first rise. Just keep it in a warm place, anywhere between 75 to 80 degrees Fahrenheit. And you cover it and just let it be there, and it'll actually double or rise significantly in this time. Okay, so I've let this rest for about 20 minutes or so. You can leave it for longer if you want more of a rise. I'm a little bit in a hurry, so I'm gonna take it out early. But it should be, you know, basically the whole point is to let it aerate, but the real rise happens next, so don't be worried if you only have a couple, maybe 10 to 15 minutes to do that first rise. Okay, so now I want to divide it into 6 equal places. Now I'm going to clear out my little workstation here. I want to divide it into 6 equal pieces, so I usually just do it in half. And then each one of these in thirds. And it's okay if it seems like the dough isn't that big right now. It actually does rise pretty significantly. A, when you form it into bagels, but B, when you cook it, it'll rise significantly. I noticed this one's a little bit bigger than the others, so I'm just gonna make it maybe a little more even. Okay, so to make the round bagel shape, you basically just roll it out. And the other nice thing of making it rise in some oil is it gets a little sheen to it. Okay, so you just kind of want to roll out these little noodles. You can be kind of rough with it, doesn't have to be perfect. Okay, so once you get a kind of enough that you might be able to actually make a real bagel size with it, I just wrap it around my fingers and then I pinch it. And then I like to stretch it out a little bit, maybe fold it over. Just kind of make it into an actual bagel shape. I'm not that fussed about that. Some people are really passionate about the way they, you know, make their bagel attach to itself. I really couldn't care less. So, however, whatever creativity you want to do with that, I encourage you to. And then we just do all 6. So that first one was definitely the smallest one, so that'll be the tester that we I'm going to prepare my poaching bath. So what I've done is taken a cast iron pan, the same I used for my other bowl. It's smoking right now because I added some hot water to it. But you want to add 2 tablespoons of either honey or maple syrup to the bath so that you can create a warm poaching bath. So you want to take this to a boil, so fill it and take it to a boil, and then add the honey or the maple syrup. Meanwhile, preheat your oven to 450 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay, so we've got our simmering little poaching bath, and you've got our little babies here that we've been let rising for about half an hour. They've risen pretty significantly. So I'm just going to go ahead and drop them in. You want 1 minute on each side. I usually do 4 at a time so they don't stick to each other. So they have enough room to kind of move around. Okay, and once you've taken them out of the hot bath, I go ahead pretty soon after, I just go ahead and I add my toppings. Now I'm using traditional sesame seeds, which is what the recipe calls for, but at this point you can make any kind of bagel you want. You can make an onion bagel, you can make an everything bagel, you can chop up little pieces of ginger and put ginger on top, whatever you want. Even though that sounds a little weird. But really the point is you want to add it when it's still wet so that whatever you're adding actually sticks. Because it will come off pretty easily when you cook it. Okay, do your last 2, and then pop them in the oven again at 450 for half an hour. And let's see how these puppies do. Wow, that's a good bake.